and retain in our simple jute basket of the heart the sweet berries of love, compassion, and devotion to God. And that's what we celebrate as Diwali.
Good morning, everyone. It is a joy to be sharing this morning with all of you. As Saiiraman introduced, my name is Saiganesh, and I live and serve at the Ananda community in Palo Alto, California. And today we are celebrating this holy occasion of Diwali. Yogananda came to the US in 1920, and it's fair to say he looked rather odd. He landed in Boston, and he was this short, dark-skinned Indian man with long black hair, wearing long orange silk robes, walking the streets of Boston. And little did people know at that time the message and the new age that he was ushering, one where East and West were going to come together in this way. We are now sitting here in 2024, where I'm looking out at the room. Of course, I see many familiar faces, and those that are from this country and where I come from, India, and also those of every other nationality represented just in this small room here in our temple at Ananda. And what Yogananda was talking about when he came, this coming together of East and West, he was looking into the future of this own planet and of the way in which a new age was going to be ushered. And now here in this day and age, you can say it might seem that, there is the tech industry and, Indians are educated in that space, and now there are jobs that creates this kind of a setup where different nationalities live in urban areas and such. But computers and electronics didn't exist in 1920. What Yogananda was talking about was something much more than that. He was talking about India being the spiritual guru of this planet, paving the way for a true understanding of what it meant to be in connection with Spirit, with God. And this, again, for those of you that have read the autobiography of a yogi, Babaji and Christ together are planning the salvation of this age, and Yogananda came in their name. Now, he was bringing an expression of spirituality, the teachings of the East, without necessarily bringing all the different cultural context, all the Sanskrit songs or the mantras or the beautiful clothes and garlands, as beautiful as all of them are, and we'll have fun with some of them this morning. But what he was bringing, what Lahiri Mahasaya brought through the practice of Kriya Yoga given to him by Babaji, was this understanding that spirituality was an inner experience, that it was in our own hands in order to make that personal contact with God. And we are at an age now where, whether or not you read it somewhere or somebody told you, all of us are naturally coming to that understanding. Religion is a beautiful thing. I don't have anything against religion. And as a wise man once said, it is a boon to be born in a religion, but a curse to die in one, which is to say, we don't want to be limited in that identity. The gift of religion, as Swami Kriyananda writes in his book, The Hindu Way of Awakening, religion is filled with symbols, a lot of powerful symbols, not arbitrary ones. And these symbols have a lot of power in them because they can inspire us and they can take us closer to our own inherent reality, our own identity with Spirit. And the Hindu religion, of course, is filled with its share of symbols. The symbolism in Diwali is not all that mysterious. It's pretty clear. Some symbols, are specific to a context, to a culture and context, like the cross that you have in the Christian religion. For an Indian person who has no exposure to Christianity, it wouldn't mean much. In India, again, as many of you may know, oftentimes when you meet an elder, you bow down and touch their feet as a symbolic gesture of paying respect. Again, for somebody who has never seen that in the West or in a different country, it wouldn't mean anything. It just would be inspiring for those who have that kind of attunement with that culture. But there is the symbol that we are honoring today that is not specific to one culture or religion. This idea of light and darkness is as old as human civilization, as awareness, as consciousness, because it represents something that is so easy for us to see and feel. Even from an earthworm can recognize light, a sunflower turned towards the light. And this symbolism that is embedded in all major religions, East or West, is speaking to an extremely important reality of our own lives, and that's really what we are honoring today. Diwali is the festival of lights, that's how it's referred to. Yesterday, some of us were discussing, I come from sunny California, and in the Pacific Northwest. Now, it also happens to be the weekend when we moved away from daylight savings. So we'll probably start losing the light sooner than yesterday, and it'll go on until we go through the holidays and come out of it again next spring. And this interplay of light and darkness, even for us to honor this occasion, this festival at this particular time, and which happens to be the day exactly when we are going to miss some of the daylight later on this evening and afternoon, is such an occasion for us to tune into this idea of this inner light and of the light in all our lives. And Diwali, as those of you that are from India already know, it is not a one-day festival. It is celebrated 4 or 5 days, depending on where you come from. And all of the themes around Diwali, there are many, many stories and myths around why Diwali is celebrated and what is honored on each day. The first day, the 13th day often, is referred to as Dhanteras in northern part of India. It is the day where people often worship wealth, and they also worship Dhanvantri, or the form of Vishnu, who is the cosmic physician, the doctor, who gives us the gift of good health, the healing of the body. And he is honored because it is a form of wealth, it is a form of light to invite into our lives. And then Rama and Krishna are honored all over India. It is the day when Rama is said to have returned to Ayodhya, his kingdom, after killing the demon Ravana and rescuing Sita. And Krishna is said to have killed another demon named Narakasura along with his consort, who is a form of Lakshmi. And then the main Diwali day is often the time where you can see, as on the altar, this beautiful image, we honor Divine Mother in the form of Lakshmi. Now, Lakshmi is a very popular goddess. Understandably, she represents wealth and good fortune. And she represents a lot more. Again, Swami Kriyananda writes, Hinduism is not about idol worship, which is often mistaken as an aspect of that kind of culture and of Sanatana Dharma. He calls it ideal worship. What that means is we are honoring aspects of the divine and vibrational qualities that we are trying to draw into our own lives. Lakshmi, the word Lakshmi itself, obviously it's referring to the goddess, but the earliest descriptions of Lakshmi are not necessarily a woman dressed in beautiful clothes, wearing gold jewelry or with 4 hands, but rather as the luster of gold. The word Lakshmi can mean so many things: glory, good fortune, abundance, prosperity, all of which we associate with light, of that goodness that we are trying to draw into our lives. And as all the Hindu gods and goddesses, there are many names and epithets used to refer to that same form. There are so many names of Lakshmi. I'll name a few right now that are just my own favorites. Lakshmi is often referred to as Tushti. We have all had a dear friend, Nayaswami Tushti, who left her body some years ago. I think she started here in Seattle. Tushti is a name for Lakshmi. It literally means contentment. And if you were to just pause and think about that, what is wealth if not entirely subjective and relative? And that vibration of contentment, of being fulfilled, irrespective of outer circumstances, is the vibration of Lakshmi. She's also referred to as Pushti. Pushti means nourishment, and nourishment on all levels. The motherhood that feeds us when we are a baby, the physical nourishment of the body, but also of the mind, of the soul, of our hearts, in all ways that we are seeking to be fulfilled. An aspect of Divine Mother, worshipped all across India as Annapurna, or that form of Divine Mother who feeds our souls. And she's the presiding deity of the ancient city of Varanasi. During Diwali, there's this huge celebration celebrating Divine Mother in that form of the nourisher. And there is a procession that happens in the city of Varanasi where she's taken on a chariot throughout the city with a lot of abundance of food and other things that are shared. And one of my favorite names is the word Kamakshi. It also happens to be my grandmother's name. And again, many ways in which it is translated, but the one that I like the most is that form of Divine Mother whose eyes are filled with so much compassion that her mere gaze would sublimate all our desires. Now, Divine Mother represents a very specific vibration for all of us, because she does not necessarily teach dispassion in the same way as Father would, the Heavenly Father would. She fulfills our desires, either by giving us the feeling of fulfillment or sometimes outwardly fulfilling. There is nothing inherently wrong in even seeking outward fulfillment for righteous desires, and that's really what guides our lives most of the times. And Divine Mother is honored in all these forms, and this day, where we are celebrating that light within and without, she represents goodness in all its shapes and forms. She represents joy, happiness. She represents all that we are seeking and the fulfillment that we know belongs to us. And this understanding of Diwali wouldn't be complete for those of us in this room because we are yogis. And as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, what is day to the worldly man is night to the yogi. Sometimes when you commit yourself to a serious spiritual quest, things somehow take the opposite direction. The outer realities become inner realities. What means something here means something else, because we are not just trying to make things work on this plane, but rather trying to get out of it, trying to transcend the plane of duality. And Diwali, in that sense, the light we're talking about, truly, if it's not all that obvious already, is the inner light. Many of you may have performed fire ceremonies here, and perhaps are familiar with the Gayatri Mantra. Our very own Murali has one of the most popular videos on the internet about the Gayatri Mantra. If you have not seen it, I highly recommend it. The mantra is very simple, very, very ancient. Om Bhurbhuva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. What we are honoring, the tradition in India, is that Tat Savitur Varenyam, that supreme sun, that is the source of all glory and light. You're offering yourself into that light. And often the way ritualistically it is practiced is in the morning you face the direction of east and you offer water as an oblation facing the sun. Now for the yogi, all of this takes on a whole other dimension, because once you learn to direct your energy inward, then even the word for sun changes. This word that the Gayatri Mantra uses is the word Savitra, Tat Savitur Varenyam. Now for the worldly man, or rather the spiritually oriented man who's still in that realm of being able to tune in only through outward symbols, he is offering that oblation of water facing the direction of east. And what does the yogi do? The yogi offers his prana here to the Savitra, the sun that is inside. That source of light, we realize, again, as taught by our own gurus and the practice of yoga, is within. And the true offering is that of prana. That is exactly what Lairi Mahashaya taught, given to him by Babaji, the sacred science of Kriya Yoga, that was made well known by Yogananda throughout the world. And in that sense, the highest expression of Diwali, one might say, is that practice of drawing all that we are and offering into the light. One of the stories that we'll explore this morning, or the presentation that will be the major part of this celebration, is related to the story of Rama. He is said to have returned to the kingdom of Ayodhya, where he belongs as the king, and the lights are lit as he's walking into his palace, into the kingdom. And what does that mean for all of us? In its highest expression, spirit is returning to its true place in the higher spinal centers. And what is lit are all the chakras as we are walking up our own spine, as the energy is being drawn, and then Rama takes his throne. And that is the true Diwali that we are all honoring and celebrating. So in that spirit, let Divine Mother's light shine in all our lives, and we find fulfillment in all ways, body, mind, spirit, and soul. I'll invite Murali for the main presentation that will begin shortly.
Thank you, Saiganesh, for that wonderful talk, and it's wonderful to have you here. Welcome, one and all, to our celebration of Diwali, and my name is Murali. What we'll be doing is, I will narrate his story, and the stories are meant to reach the heart. There's a lot of magical things that happen in the story. So suspend your logic, suspend your disbelief, and allow your heart to open, because hidden behind all the magic and the mayhem is a way of perceiving the truth that is inaccessible to the head. And that is why traditionally in India, stories were always told with music. They were not separate, but they were interspersed. They would come and go because it's all a way to awaken the heart to something that would not yield to a linear way of thinking. And the dance that you are going to see today, you're going to see a couple, or also pay attention to the expressions and the movements and how it melts with the story, and especially with the song that's accompanying it. Okay? So with that, let's begin. All good stories worth their salt begin in the same way. A long, long time ago, there lived a demon. His name was Ravana. Now, Ravana was a very evil man, and he was also very strong. He was so strong that he could lift an entire mountain with his bare arms. Now, demons generally are very fierce-looking people. They're not the kind of people that you want to take with you to a party, unless it's a Halloween party, in which case it's perfectly fine to take a demon with you. But even by the standards of a demon, Ravana was particularly fierce-looking. You know why? Because he had 10 heads. Imagine that, having 10 heads. And each head, each face, had 2 large red eyes. And he had long, razor-like teeth that hung down from his mouth over protruding lower lips. Now, when you have 10 heads, the rule is that you have to have 20 arms. Otherwise, things don't work well. That's how the brain is built. So Ravana had 20 long, powerful arms, and he was a master of all magic. There was no piece of magic, wizardry, sorcery, spells, incantations, or hexes that he did not know. And there were many that he knew that nobody else knew. And so in each of his arms, he held a powerful weapon, each arm holding a more powerful magical weapon than the other one. And he had amassed an indomitable army of other demons who were vicious and fiendish, and they loved to terrorize and torment people. They lived in dark forests and would come out only in the middle of the night. And they would invade villages and cities, and they took great pleasure in killing especially kind people. And they would like to torment the old and the infirm and the weak. The hearts of all men grew dark with fear. And just when it was the darkest, they didn't know what to do. Ravana and his hordes were so powerful. They committed heinous atrocities on all people. They didn't know what to do, so they looked skyward and called to the spirit beyond all creation, the great god Vishnu. They looked skyward and said, "Oh Lord Vishnu, you are infinitely powerful. Your compassion and love are boundless. Why are you letting us be tormented and tortured by this scourge of evil? Will you not eliminate it from this earth? Will you not come down?" And as this cry of anguish went up from earth, God responded. How did he respond? It says in the Bhagavad Gita, "Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge." And what that means is the Lord has promised that when the evil goes out of balance and vice is on the ascendant, he will recreate himself through the consciousness that's spread out in every atom of creation. It coalesces together to form the consciousness of God, and he walks among us in flesh and blood. And so it was that the Supreme Spirit Vishnu incarnated on this earth. He was born in the great kingdom of Ayodhya as Prince Rama. Rama was brave and Rama was powerful. Rama had a great bow which was so mighty that it was said that only he could wield the bow. Now, so indomitable was Rama's will and so mighty was the bow that when he launched an arrow from that bow towards an evil man, it didn't matter where the man ran. He could climb up to the top of a mountain, jump into the ocean, hide in the forests, but guided by Rama's will, the arrow would find him and eliminate him. Rama was also compassionate. Rama was also kind, especially towards people that were good and loving and kind themselves. But when faced with evil, he was merciless. It was said that there was so much love in Rama's presence that people's hearts forgot its fear and they felt that everything would be all right. The entire kingdom of Ayodhya, starting with Rama's own father, could not wait for Rama to ascend the throne and become the king and eliminate evil from the earth. It was as if the entire kingdom was singing, "Victory to Rama, victory to God, Shri Ram, Jai Ram." City of Ayodhya was rejoicing at the imminent ascension of Rama into the throne of the kingdom. God had other plans. Rama had a wicked and wily stepmother, and on the eve of his coronation, she somehow managed to arrange it so that Rama's own father calls Rama into his room and says, "Rama, you're banished into the forest for 14 years. After that, you may come back and rule the kingdom." With a single twang of his mighty bow, Rama could have silenced both his father and his stepmother, but he was a dutiful son. So he immediately said, unhesitatingly, "Yes, I will go to the forest." And accompanied by his gentle and beautiful wife Sita and his loyal and indomitable brother Lakshmana, Rama went into the forest. Now, this is not an ordinary forest, but it was the deep, dark rainforests of southern India, occupied by great predators and wild beasts, and these were also the forests where the mighty evil hordes of Ravana came out at night. And as Rama and Sita go into the forest, along with Lakshmana, in this forest were also highly refined spiritual men and women of great realization. They had turned away from their backs to the temptations of civilization and had gone into the forest because so great was their longing for God. If God walked into this room, would we know? Maybe not, because there's no fanfare. But these men and women, so still were their minds, so boundless was their wisdom, so selfless was their service. At the moment Rama entered the forest, they knew as a thrill of joy that tugged at their heartstrings and resonated through their bodies that God is amongst us. Then the question became, which of us is he going to visit first? Even among the exalted society of high spiritual achievement, the competition for God's attention was very fierce. There was a yogi in an ashram. He looked about 16 years old, but in reality he was 216 years. And he thought to himself, I have been meditating for 200 years. My mind is so still that surely Rama will come to me first. And there was a rishi. Rishi are these old, very wise people who are very selfless, and they perform fire ceremonies known as yajnas. And this exchange of energy with gods, it is said, keeps prosperity in the kingdom. This rishi was so accomplished, so powerful, that he had performed hundreds of yajnas, and he thought, because of me there is prosperity in the kingdom. There is neither famine nor flood, nor pestilence, nor pandemics. Surely Rama will come to me first. And then there was a jnani who had contemplated God's nature all through his life. And he said, I understand fully the nature of God and the nuances of creation, and I know Purusha and Prakriti and Dharma and Karma. Surely God is going to come to me first. Rama walks in the forest, and as God walks, the muddy forest floor spontaneously blooms with flowers, and it is converted to a bed of flowers. And there are jasmines and roses, hibiscus and hyacinths. Here and there in still, tranquil ponds, exotic varieties of lotuses begin to bloom. The sun reduces its intensity, and the wind blows softly to caress the face of Rama. And as Rama walks through the forest, his love is so great that wild beasts lose their predatory and fierce instincts. A great lion comes and kneels in front of Rama, opens its big mouth and falls on its back to be caressed by the Lord. And over there, a great Bengal tiger begins to play with the deer. And over here, a great cobra opens its hood to give shade to a pregnant frog. As God walks, the Mother Nature sings and dresses up for him, and the hearts of all people dance with joy. Rama's infinite compassion has destroyed the dire mortal fears of all sentient beings.
कृपालु भजु मन हरण भव भयदारुणम्
श्री रामचंद्र कृपालु भजु मन हरण भव भयदारुणम् नवकञ्जलोचन कञ्जमुखकर कञ्जपद कञ्जारुणम् श्रीरामचन्द्र कृपालु भजु मन हरण भव भयदारुणम् श्रीराम 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 श्रीराम
गणित अमित छविनव नील नीरद सुन्दरम्
पाटपीतमानहु तडित रुचि शुचि नौमि जनकसुतावरं श्रीरामचन्द्रकृपालु भजुमन हरण भवभयदारुणं श्रीराम 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 श्रीराम
भजुदीन बन्धुदि देशधानव दैत्यवंशनिकण्डनम्
रघुनन्द आनन्द कन्द कोशलचन्द दशरथनन्दनं श्रीरामचन्द्रकृपालु भजुमन हरण भवभयदारुणं श्रीराम 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 श्रीराम.
Rama's infinite compassion expanded to encompass all beings and the entire forest. In these ashrams, the yogi and the rishi and the jnani were waiting. Is Rama going to come to me? And Rama walked right past them. They were shocked. Who could be better than us? They thought. And so they got up and walked behind Rama. Rama walked deeper and deeper into the forest. Soon they built up like a caboose behind him, all these people of high spiritual attainment wondering, where is Rama going? Rama goes deeper into a very dark corner of the forest where nobody had been. And in there, suddenly, there is a very small hut. And in that hut is a frail, wizened, bent, stooped old woman. And her name is Shabari. And she's sitting there. Rama is a tall man. He stoops down into the hut to enter. And as he enters the hut, Shabari looks up at him. And outside, the entire mass of yogis and rishis and sadhus are waiting. How is God going to speak to his devotee? There is a hushed silence. Rama and Shabari, God and devotee, look at each other. And with a voice that rings like a temple bell, Rama speaks. And he so says the most unusual thing. He says, Shabari, where is my basket of fruit? I've been waiting my entire life to eat fruit. And I turned my back on the kingdom. I ran through the forest. I ignored great rishis and sadhus. I waited all my life. Don't make me wait any longer. Give me my basket of fruit. And all the sadhus and yogis are scratching their heads. Who is Shabari? What's the deal with the basket of fruit? So let me tell you what the deal is. In her youth, Shabari was a very beautiful woman. And people had lined up to marry her, and her father wanted to get her married off. But her longing for God was so great that she said, I don't want this life. I want to go into the forest because in there is a great guru, a man of self-realization. His name is Matanga. I want to become a disciple of Matanga. So beautiful Shabari goes into the forest, into this deep dark corner. And there Matanga receives her. He has very high standards for whom he is going to accept. But the purity of Shabari's heart is so great that he immediately accepts her as a disciple. And she serves him sincerely for over 50 years. By now, the blush of youth has gone from her face and wrinkles are beginning to show up. And one day, Matanga calls her and says, my child, it is time for me to leave this body. Tears well up in Shabari's face. And she says, my Lord, you're my anchor. Without you, how can I find God? And Matanga looks with eyes filled with great love and says, Shabari, my child, do you not know? Do you not feel it? God has incarnated on earth as Prince Rama. Love him, serve him, seek him, worship him. and he's going to come to this forest and he's going to give you salvation. And so Shabari, from that day on, she's a woman of very simple faith. She's very happy. She goes into her hut and she loves Rama with all her breath, with every waking breath. She seeks and worships him with every waking breath. And she asks, how shall I serve thee, Rama, my Lord, my God, with every breath that I breathe?
How shall I love thee, Lord my God, with every breath I breathe? How shall I love thee, Lord my God, with every breath I breathe? Just as a fire may burn a whole forest, burn to the root my desires. Just as a fire may burn a whole forest, burn to the root my desires. How shall I seek thee, Lord my God, with every breath I breathe? How shall I seek thee, Lord my God, with every breath I breathe? The fire may burn a whole forest, burn to the root my desires. Just as a fire may burn a whole forest, burn to the root my desires. How shall I serve thee, Lord my God, with every breath I breathe? How shall I serve thee, Lord my God, with every breath I breathe? Just as a fire may burn a whole forest, burn to the root my desires. Just as a fire may burn a whole forest, burn to the root my desires. How shall I worship thee, Lord my God, with every breath I breathe? How shall I worship thee, Lord my God, with every breath I breathe? Just as a fire may burn a whole forest, burn to the root my desires. Just as a fire may burn a whole forest, burn to the root my desires. Just as a fire may burn a whole forest, burn to the root my desires. Just as a fire may burn a whole forest, burn to the root my desires. How shall I love thee, Lord my God, with every breath I breathe? How shall I seek thee, Lord my God, with every breath I breathe? How shall I serve thee, Lord my God, with every breath I breathe? How shall I worship thee, Lord my God, with every breath I breathe? How shall I love thee, Lord my God, with every breath I breathe?
In her little hut, Shabari was loving, seeking, serving and worshipping Rama with every breath she took. But she had a problem. Because let's double click on her situation. She's waiting for God to come. And when God comes in, you just can't say, hey, I'm so glad you showed up. I waited for you for a long time. I'm glad you could make it. Grant me liberation. It doesn't work that way. An important part of this transaction is you have to give God something. Not just anything. You have to give God the best of what you have. This was her problem. She had nothing. So she says, Rama is going to come. My guru said so, but what should I give him when he comes? And then, she says, I have an idea. I might not have anything, but this entire forest is mine, isn't it? So in these Indian forests, it's true even today, there are these bushes of berries. And they give you berries that are by and large very sour. But every now and then, you will find a good one. And when you do, it is so extraordinarily flavorful. So Shabari decides that that's what I'm going to give my Rama when he comes. So every morning, she carries a little jute basket. She goes into the forest, and she picks up a berry, eats it. Oh, sour. She spits it out and throws it down. I does it again, and every 50th or every 100th berry, she takes a little bite, and it's so sweet, so flavorful. So she puts it into her basket. And then it takes her all morning to fill up her basket with half-eaten sweet berries to be offered to Rama when he comes. And she contentedly waits in her hut every afternoon, and she does this again the next morning. This goes on for about 20 years. She's a woman of very simple faith. She's very contented, waiting. And then one day, one afternoon, she's thinking, oh, I hope my Rama comes today because the berries are especially sweet. She has her jute basket and she's sitting in her hut sideways to the door. It's late afternoon and sun is streaming through the open doorway, and there are dust mites dancing in there. You know how when you're facing sideways, you can see what's going on. You can sense what's going on in your side vision. And then she sees the sunlight darken a little bit as if someone is entering. And then she looks up. Rama has just stooped down and entered into her hut, and he has straightened into his full height. And Shabari, for the first time, beholds the form of Rama. Rama is tall, muscular, and well-proportioned. There is a great bow slung over his shoulder, which is vibrating with the potential infinite power of the entire universe. He has a broad forehead, and his curly hair is coming down as if dancing on his forehead. His skin is the radiant blue, deep blue color of a monsoon cloud pregnant with water. Beneath his broad forehead are perfectly arched eyebrows, and beneath them are Rama's eyes, which are so beautiful, so enchanting, and so filled with love that one look at them is enough to satisfy all desires, both current and past. And Shabari gazes at her Lord, and Rama gazes back.
जी मेरे नैनन में सिया राम बसो जी मेरे
नैनन में सिया राम बसो जी मेरे नैनन में सिया राम बसो जी मेरे जनक नंदिनी जगदवंदिनी रघुनायक घनश्याम रघुनायक घनश्याम नैनन में सिया राम बसो जी मेरे नैनन में सिया राम कनक मंडप तले रत्न सिंहासन कनक मंडप तले रत्न सिंहासन जुगल मूर्ति अभिराम जुगल मूर्ति अभिराम नैनन में सिया राम बसो जी मेरे नैनन में सिया राम सरयू के तीर अयोध्या नगरी सरयू के तीर अयोध्या नगरी चित्रकूट निज धाम, चित्रकूट निज धाम। तुलसीदास प्रभु की छवि निरखत, तुलसीदास प्रभु की छवि निरखत, लजत कोटि शतकाम, लजत कोटि शतकाम, लजत कोटि शतकाम। नैनन में सिया राम बसो जी मेरे, नैनन में सिया राम बसो जी मेरे, नैनन में सिया राम।
Stay in my eyes forever, Lord. Shabari says she does not want to stop staring at the beloved form of her Lord. Outside, the entire troop of sages and rishis and yogis are hushed to see what Rama is going to say and how Rama is going to speak to Shabari for the first time. Rama spreads his arms wide, palms facing up, and he says, Shabari, where is my basket of berries? I have been waiting for it all my life. I left my kingdom, ran through the forest, bypassing all the sages and the rishis. Don't make me wait any longer. Please give it to me. And so Shabari, with trembling hands, she gives him a little jute basket filled with half-eaten but verified sweet berries. And Rama sits down on the floor of this hut and eagerly eats fistfuls of these berries. Juices are running down his chin. He doesn't mind. He makes contented noises. What could be more dear to him than the simple offering of the Shabari's love? So he eats them, and fully contented, he gives back this basket to Shabari. And as Shabari takes the basket, Rama's hand touches hers. And in that divine touch, her sins of lifetimes are cleansed and she becomes pure. She falls at Rama's feet, and outside, the yogi says, greater than all my meditation techniques is the humble devotion of Shabari. The rishi, he of 100 yajnas and sacrifices, he says, more powerful than all my offerings is the offering of the heart in love to God. And the Jnani says, the greatest wisdom in this universe is God, is love. And as Shabari touches Rama's feet, her body becomes ethereal. It transforms into energy. And this body of light of Shabari rises up into the heavens, soars beyond the heavens into the abode of Vishnu, known as Vaikuntha. And she goes through the 7 golden doors of Vaikuntha, walks across the ocean of milk, and sits at the feet of Supreme Spirit Vishnu. She is fully liberated. And a few months after this, Rama kills Ravana in an epic battle that lasts 7 days and 7 nights. The scourge of evil has been eliminated from earth, and he returns back to Ayodhya to occupy his throne. And that's what we celebrate as Diwali. We too have banished God from our kingdom. We have to pick the sour berries, the negative emotions of ignorance and fear and anger and hatred and jealousy, spit it aside day after day like Shabari did, and retain in our simple jute basket of the heart the sweet berries of love, compassion, and devotion to God. And when we do, one day, Rama walks through the open door of our hearts and grants us liberation from lifetimes of sin and suffering.
रघुपति राघव राजा राम, पतित पावन सीताराम। रघुपति राघव राजा राम, पतित पावन सीताराम। सीताराम सीताराम, भज प्यारे तू सीताराम। सीताराम सीताराम, भज प्यारे तू सीताराम। ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरे नाम, सबको सन्मति दे भगवान। ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरे नाम, सबको सन्मति दे भगवान। रघुपति राघव राजा राम, पतित पावन सीताराम। रघुपति राघव राजा राम, पतित पावन सीताराम। सीताराम सीताराम, भज प्यारे तू सीताराम। सीताराम सीताराम, भज प्यारे तू सीताराम। ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरे नाम, सबको सन्मति दे भगवान। ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरे नाम, सबको सन्मति दे भगवान। राम राम जय राजा राम, राम राम जय सीताराम। राम राम जय राजा राम, राम राम जय सीताराम। राम राम जय राजा राम, राम राम जय सीताराम। राम राम जय राजा राम, राम राम जय सीताराम। राम राम जय राजा राम, राम राम जय सीताराम। राम राम जय राजा राम, राम राम जय सीताराम। राम राम जय राजा राम, राम राम जय सीताराम। राम राम जय राजा राम, राम राम जय सीताराम।
ओम शांति शांति शांति।